Welcome back to ACTV, Austin Clubhouse YouTube channel. Austin Clubhouse is a community where adults living with mental health diagnoses can participate in meaningful work and mental health advocacy. Happy National Poetry Month! We're going to celebrate this month by spotlighting 4 different poets from our Austin Clubhouse community. We have a lot of amazing voices and talents and writers. This week, we will be spotlighting Brian Shade. He wrote an amazing poem about the trials and tribulations of the beginnings of seeking treatment. Without further ado, here is Leaf interviewing Brian about poetry and Brian reading his original poem.
Welcome to the Austin Clubhouse. Today we've got Brian, who is a writer, and he's agreed to answer a few questions for us. So right off the bat, Brian, how long have you been writing poetry?
I wrote a little bit in high school, but the main part of my poetry, I took a class back when I lived in Dallas around 2008, and in the class we wrote about 7 to 10 poems, I guess.
And how has writing poetry helped you recover?
Well, it's fun to be creative. The poem that I shared was kind of reflecting upon where my life was as a 21-year-old back in 1992 when I was starting to the long process of recovery.
Okay, so you're going to read a poem for us. And why did you choose to read this poem?
Well, it's definitely the best. I think it's probably the best poem. At least it's the poem. It's the only poem I really wrote about recovery and about my mental health. Yes, so my poem is titled Ode to Normalcy, and this was a poem I wrote for a class I took about 13 years ago in 2008. And the poem basically covers the 10 days I spent in 1992 when I was 21 years old. I spent about 10 days at a mental health hospital called Timberland, where I was able to get properly diagnosed as having a bipolar disorder. So it starts, century-old oaks and landscape mute the pain we feel. My pod in the basement is colorless, like a concentration camp cell. Photos of lost friends and lovers pierce my heart. A phone dangles from the wall. But who can I call? Who can relate? My room isolates further. The bed hard, my body asexual. North wind chills my nerves and cells relentlessly. I feel like a cactus covered with thorns. Sleep and junk food weaken the pain, but thorns penetrate my dreams. Covered with 5 blankets and a mouthpiece to stop my teeth from grinding, waking up takes hours. Ha ha, I chuckle. How much deeper can I go? I'll descend deeper, the opposite of a soaring eagle. Then self-hatred erodes sadness like waves on a powdery beach. Weeks of indecisiveness lessen. Eventually, I trudge out of my room, reaching the ground floor. Endless activity and colors begin to engulf me. Red roses, studly blue jeans, and an army green windbreaker. Photos and art projects regain significance. Mom and Dad visit, and we get fresh air by the oak trees. The new room is cozy, my attitude smoother, and my appetite back. The basement and my thorns haunt me no more. Tomorrow's diversions make sleep an inconvenience. Rest arrives with 1 blanket and no mouthpiece. Up at dawn, I have solutions for all. This patient needs medication. this one just music. Time, wisdom, and doctors begin my road to normalcy. Lithium, blood tests, movies. 10 weeks later, a routine emerges. As bedtime approaches, I reflect. Did I survive another day? My name is Brian, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for watching, and please tune in next week for our next Artist Spotlight, National Poetry Month edition. We are Austin Clubhouse, a community that works.